my musical warriors. Welcome to another episode of Music Appreciation with GunnyCrash, also known as Mr. Maschmeier, and BerrySax, also known as Mr. Berry. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to watch a short video explaining the percussion sections. Now, we've been primarily talking about the drum set as the only percussion instrument so far, but we want to make sure that you guys know that there is more to the percussion family than just the drum set. So without further ado, we're going to watch that, and then we're going to rotate into doing our second theory assignment, expanding on our lesson from the staff. So we're going to call up our tab here, and we're going to play our Percussion Family video. So if you guys that are watching this on YouTube, if it is spotty or whatever, it's just simply called the Percussion Family. It's 7 minutes and 52 seconds long.
All right,
Mr.
here we
Berry.
go. Ready? 1, 2, ready, and
My name is Grant, and I'm the conductor of the orchestra. Let's meet some of the instruments in the percussion section. The claves, the maracas, the bongos, the drum kit, and that is the percussion section.
Percussion instruments are divided into two groups: pitched and non-pitched. Pitched percussion instruments can play a melody. Let's look at a few examples.
Yeah, sorry about this guy.
The low notes on the left and the high notes on the right. Each key acts like a lever. When the key is struck, it hits a string inside. That striking motion is why the piano is considered a percussion instrument. Those strings are why some people call a piano a string instrument. Hit it. The timpani is a pitched percussion instrument. It's also called the kettle drum. It does look like a kettle, but what makes it a pitched percussion instrument is its pedal. Hey, that rhymes.
When you press on the pedal, it tightens the head of the drum and changes the pitch. When you release the pedal, it releases the tension.
Non-pitched percussion instruments play beats and rhythms. Let's look at a few examples.
non-pitch percussion section of a marching band is so important, they really have to keep the beat for the other band members.
Did you know there are 3 types of drums in the marching band? The parade drum, or snare, the bass drum, and the tom-tom.
Yes, of course. The snare drum has wire coils stretched across the base of the drum. The tension can be adjusted to change the sound it makes when played.
The coils are actually called a snare, and the snare gives it flair. When it's released, snare drum actually sounds like a tom-tom. Wild, huh?
The bass drum is much larger than the snare and helps to keep a steady beat for the marching band.
Really fun to play, and so much fun to wear. You don't think this bass drum makes me look fat, do you?
Percussion instruments include the classroom instruments, such as the wood, metal, shaker, scraper, and membrane families. Percussion also includes body percussion and environmental sounds. Let's look at a couple examples.
All right. Got to stop the presentation here. Woohoo! Okay, fantastic. So I'm hoping. Uh-oh. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Sorry. I lost my mind there and apparently didn't hit stop like I thought. Anyhow, so that gives you an idea of the fact that we have a lot more in the percussion section than just the drum set. And I think the neat thing about the percussion section, as you saw there at the end, body percussion and environmental percussion, you don't have to have instruments for that. You just have to have things that you can hit and be creative with. As a matter of fact, I've seen a lot of high school drum lines literally do parts of their show with environmental percussion instead of drum instruments. And also a good friend of mine that I was in the Marine Corps with, he got recruited quite literally off the streets of New York. He was playing buckets on a street corner when one of the MTAs, which is basically like a music recruiter for the Marine Corps, sat and listened to him play the buckets and thought, wow, this guy's really, really good, and started talking to him about joining the Marine Corps. And so, yeah, so believe it or not, you can make music with just about anything you look around and find. So what we're going to do now, guys, is we are going to pivot into our lesson for the day, which is going to start off with going over what we're going to do here and what assignment number 14 looks like. So Mr. Berry is going to take it over as our resident theory guru. Mr. Berry.
Okay, so the assignment is found under classwork. It's assignment 14, high-low. Let's read the instructions, make sure that we understand them. So we're going to be completing one worksheet, not two worksheets, just one worksheet in Jamboard. Make sure to answer each question. And let me remind you guys, if you are unable to access Jamboard, then you should access the other document, which is the PDF. This will be individuals who are using iPads or iPhones. One more time, if you have an iPad or an iPhone, you're not going to be able to access Jamboard. So either do the edit the PDF document, or you could complete on a separate sheet of paper, take a picture of it, and then you can email it to me, or you can just hold that sheet of paper up to the camera and I'll look at it and grade it right then and there. Same with Mr. Maschmeier.
Yep,
so let's go ahead
works.
and click on the Jamboard and look at that one first. All right, let's clean her up just a bit. You have stuff written all over it. Okay, that's good enough. All right, so let's read from the top. So it says musical sounds, low or high, are shown by the position of the note on the staff. When we say the note, we're referring to that note head or that bubble that we see right there on the staff. That's what we mean when we say notes, okay? So notes that are higher higher on the staff have a higher sound or pitch than those that are lower on the staff. So let's look at the first two notes that we have there. And let me read what it says below. So it says the first note sounds higher than the second note. Someone answer this question. Is that first note higher or lower in position on the staff than the second one?
Visually.
Say that again. I can't hear you.
It's higher.
It's higher. Most definitely is higher in position. So that makes it sound higher than the second one in pitch. Now let's look at the next two. Okay, so it says the first note sounds lower than the second note. So let's look at that first note. Is that first note lower or higher in position than the second one?
Lower.
Lower, very good.
Thank you. So because it's lower, it's going to sound pitch-wise lower than the second one, okay? Now let's go ahead and let's look at number one and read the instructions. So it says, draw a note. One more time, we should all know what a note looks like because we just circled it up at the top. So we're going to draw a note on the indicated line or space. Once we do that for all 7 measures here, then we're going to circle the highest note you drew on that staff, okay? So let's look, first let's do this. And actually, guys, I would prefer that you do this on a sheet of paper. I want you to draw a staff. And here's mine right here. I'm just going to draw it over here to the side. And then once you get your staff written on a sheet of paper, I want you to number the lines from the bottom to the top. And then on the other side, I want you to number the spaces from the bottom space all the way up to that top space, which would be 4, okay? Just like that. Okay. So now we're going to use what I just drew, and actually you guys should have this written down on your own separate sheet of paper now. But we're going to use that to identify where we're going to place the notes for the lines and for the spaces. So the first one says line 3. Can someone turn their microphone on and tell me specifically on the staff where line 3 is located? I'll wait.
Where that
Where the
In the
dot is
middle.
on the third
In the
one.
middle. There we
Over
go.
here.
That was what we
In
were
the
looking
middle.
for. Esther,
So,
sorry.
like for example, like if we use our hands as guides, we have 5 fingers, right? So if we were trying to locate the middle one, then we would put the 2 down on both sides of the, I'm not going to do it. You see what I'm getting at. All right, so that's
Is that called giving you a B?
right. So we're going to put that note right on the third line, and just like Mr. Maschmeier did, you can see the line going through the note. So for the ones that go on the line, a line should go through the bubble. Okay. Let's look at the second one, line 4. So where on the staff? Someone tell me where specifically on the staff is line 4? Is it at the top of the staff? Is it at the bottom of the staff?
It's at the
Like where?
top. At the top. Above number 3.
To the
There
top.
you
So
go.
yes,
Above
so
number 3.
it would be the line above line 3, correct?
Good job, guys.
All right, let's do one more. One more. It says space 1. Is that at the top or the bottom?
Bottom.
Bottom. Good job, choir.
The space right above line number 1.
Now notice when I drew that bubble, the lines touch the top and the bottom of the bubble.
Yes.
Okay.
And just do the best you can. We know it's kind of tricky to draw on Jamboard. Those of you that are going to be completing the assignment in Jamboard, just do the best you can. All right, so now let's look at number 2. It says use an arrow to indicate whether the second note of each measure sounds higher, and you're going to draw an arrow upward for higher, or lower, draw an arrow downward for lower, in pitch than the first note. So we're concentrating on the second note. We're going to look at that one first and tell whether it's higher or lower in pitch than the first note. So look at the second one. Someone answer this question first. Is that second note higher or lower in position on the staff than the first one?
It's higher.
The second one is
lower.
Lower than the first.
So that means that pitch-wise, it would sound lower. So if it's lower, we're going to draw an arrow going down, just like you guys see for the first one. Let's look at the second one. Answer this question for me first. The second note, is it higher or lower than the first note?
Lower.
Higher.
It's higher.
Okay, we're looking at number 2. Look at the second one and ask the question. Is the second note higher or lower than the first? So this one looks higher on the staff than the first one, so it is higher. That is why we put an arrow up. You always look at the second note.
So do we never look at the note that's
You're going to
start,
just know that you're going to start with the second note and you're going to compare it to the first one. So
yes,
remember,
of
there's
each measure. Yeah.
we have we're going to pair each note, our 2 notes together, and we can see the pair because you see those lines dividing the staff up. They're called bar lines.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to look inside 2 of those lines at those 2 notes. Look at the second one and compare it to the first one. Let's do one more. Look at the third one. Let's look at the second one first. So tell me, is that second one higher or lower than the first one?
Lower.
It's
Very
lower.
good. Now you got it.
The arrow would be going downward, okay?
Now you got it.
So now number 2, we want to make sure that we understand that number 2, so we just identified 3 for number 2, but there are 12. Okay, so that here's number 1, there's number 2, there's number 3, there's number 4, 5. Whoops, I forgot the loop for 5, and then 6. And Mr. Maschmeier is currently writing 7 through 12. So make sure that you complete all of these. Make sure to draw the arrows for number 2. Okay. Number 3, which is similar to number 2, but instead of drawing arrows, now we're going to use an H for higher and an L for lower. Okay. Let me read the instructions. It says, use the letters H and L to indicate whether the second note of each measure sounds higher or lower in pitch than the first. So we're still going to do the same thing that we did for number 2. So let's look at the first 2 notes. Look at the second one first. Is the second one higher or lower than the first one?
Lower.
Lower. So therefore, we're going to put an L to represent lower now. We'll do one more. Let's look at the next two notes. The second one, is it higher or lower than the first one?
Higher.
There you go.
So we'll put an H.
Super
All
simple.
right. So guys, this is all that we have for you today. As soon as you complete this assignment, let us know so that we can hop in there and grade. Those of you that have completed all of your other assignments, meaning you have no missing work, you will be allowed to leave as soon as we grade assignment 14.
All right, and before we say goodbye to our YouTube personnel, just remember the best way that you can tell us that you like what we're doing is by putting a comment down below so we know that you're liking what we're doing. So I said that the second way. So anyway, you could also subscribe to our channel, which is Warrior Musician. And of course, you know, guys, you may not know this, but Mr. Berry and I are actually both composers and arrangers, and we're also both private lesson instructors, which are two things that are provided for you through the Warrior Musician website, should you desire those things. So check us out. And with that, Mr. Berry, what would you like to say?
All right, guys, it's been great, but peace out.
We love you guys, and we'll see you again tomorrow.